We are live. Ma'am, you can
Okay.
start the session.
Yeah. So, good evening, viewers. Geeti, am I visible? Like, yeah,
No, ma'am, you are not visible.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, now we can see
Is
you.
it okay? Yeah. Good evening, viewers. I'm Sushmita Chakraborty on behalf of Annie Jury. I welcome you all to the today's webinar session on education with Mr. V.K. Rajiv. So before I start with the session, I'd like to speak about Anajari, those who have connected with us, for the viewers, a bit of information on Anajari. It is a it is a non-profit platform that engages and promotes various kinds of initiatives and actively strive to promote social and environmental improvement, leadership building, and entrepreneurship for Assam in particular and Northeast India in general. So you can say that Anujari is actually working a lot in the development of Northeast. And now I would like to move to the most important part of this evening. That is, I'd like to introduce our speaker for the evening, Mr. V.K. Rajiv. Hello, Rajiv. I hope you're there.
Yeah,
Hello.
hello.
Can you
Yes,
hear
good
me?
evening.
Yeah. A quick introduction about him. He is a science faculty from Delhi Public School, Numaligarh. He has been appointed as Regional Teacher of Change, Assam and Arunachal Pradesh by Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, Government of India. So Rajiv, I welcome you to this session.
Thank you, Miss Sushmita. Thank you for this, good, ad- uh, appreciated steps in the field of education and creating a lot of awareness among the people of Assam and other seven sisters, which we call by, affection to all these seven states, especially of Northeast. We being as educationists or the people associated with academic profession, it's our different but noble kind of objective that comes on our shoulder as a responsibility, and we should take it as a mission also to enlighten the people, the generation, the society, and the country as a whole. Basically, this program will also give me a lot of opportunity to interact with the people who and know about their curiosity regarding the examination, education, or patterns of assessment and what is going on in the field of education. Sushmita.
Rajiv,
Absolutely.
excuse me, would you please put your video on?
Yeah, I'll try if my network supports. Let me see those. Am I visible?
Well, I think there must be some kind of technical problem from your side. Yeah, he's there. It's on now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so we are going to start this session. So, as this session is on education, so first of all, I'd like to know from you, what is your take on education? What do you think education is actually?
Wow, that's a good
Being a
question.
teacher, because you're in this
Yeah,
field for
that's a
such a
good
long time,
question.
isn't it? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's a good question. We all become a teacher, we all become, professionals of some field, but we must know what is that, what we are going to do. Since the inception of human civilization, it has taken a long way for human being, for his brain to develop into, what we are getting Homo sapiens sapiens in this today's generation. What is, if you go through the main reason behind how that Homo sapiens sapien got so intelligent today, right from one who was just interested in killing the animals and eating the raw flesh, to today having a various different kind of cuisines. And you can also check out not only having the options in the food, dresses, and not only this, but invention, innovation, and ruling the planet, moving on to the other planet. These all things had become this had been achieved just due to one weapon that human being had got, and that we call education. More than 10 million species survive on this planet, but we call human being as the best or most advanced species on the planet. And if we find out why, then we get one ability that human being can distinguish between what is right, what is wrong, and judge between who is good, who is bad. So in that, who gives that ability? What gives that ability to the human being to distinguish between right and wrong? And what enables the human beings to distinguish that the oneself, the human generation self, to be distinguished from other. Even no matter, even the dolphin can be more intelligent, but human being is still the most advanced kind of living thing on this planet. So what is that? That we get education. So that's what I think. If a human being is able to take a right decision in the right time with right spirit for the development and welfare of human civilization and also the other species as a whole, that's the main purpose of education.
That's right. Absolutely. So now that yeah, we know what education is all about. Like that is your point of view or our point of view, whosoever is in this field of education. So being teachers, it is difficult to stay in this particular profession for a longer period of time. Because some people they join because they have it's a fact. Like these days, you can see that many youngsters are coming up and joining because they don't have basically they don't have a anything else, or like they find it a very easy platform. But in the long run, uh, they don't stick to this profession for a very longer period of time. They find it a little difficult to deal with the students, with the the environment, which is very dynamic, right? So what keeps you going, that you have been in this field for quite a long time? So what is that thing that inspires or motivates you? Or I would rather ask you that what should be that thing with which someone should come and join the education industry, I mean field. I would rather say that,
Right.
with
It's
what
it's
zeal one
another
should come and join.
yes,
Not just as
it's
a jobs
another
perspective, but
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
It's another intriguing question, madam. What happens, we when grow up till class 10, we have the trained that 80% of the children population or the community doesn't know what has to be done after 11th or 12th or after the school life. They have a different fantasy that sometimes they just speak up, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a engineer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a chartered accountant. Also sometimes some courageous children also even opt for like NDA, or they also opt for I want to go for defense. But if you go to the deeper insight
Very
of
few
the
say that I
choices,
want to become a teacher. Yeah.
right. So if you go to the deeper insight of these choices, then you get to know that most of them are speaking this choice because of the choices of the parents, because their parents have different expectations from the child. They have been already tagged right in the womb that mera beta bada hokar ये बनेगा और मेरा नाम रोशन करेगा. Or that's what the long time back there was a song, पापा कहते हैं बड़ा नाम करेगा. So that that pressure keeps on haunting the child's mind since beginning, right from the to upper primary age, when the child gets little consciousness, slowly and gradually, and when the child comes to the higher secondary, develops some kind of self interest, but still has got more deeper pressure on his mind that I have to prove myself in the front of my parents, in the front of my relatives, in the front of my neighborhood, and he has to answer every single time कि कोई भी अगर उनके घर पे आता है तो दे जस्ट आस्क आपका बेटा क्या कर रहा है और बेटा क्या कर रहे हो, बड़ा होके क्या करना है. So there is that kind of obligation with the child that I have to be something. You cannot expect the child to speak मैं बड़े होकर स्टैंड अप कॉमेडियन बनना चाहता हूँ, मैं बड़े होकर वॉइस आर्टिस्ट बनना चाहता हूँ, राइट. ऐसा बोलेंगे तो कहेंगे ठीक है, और पैसे कमाने के लिए क्या करोगे. So again there is a kind of that kind of taboo. So coming to the teacher, here sometimes if you're courageous, even you can say voice artist, you can say that I want to become a stand up comedian, but child himself doesn't want to say that I want to become a teacher. And you know that the engineer's son cannot for that my mother is an engineer, so I can be engineer. My father is a doctor, so I can be a doctor. My businessman father all has got the huge business. I want to become a big businessman. But even a teacher's son won't opt for being a teacher in the future. So that is actually maybe there has to be a two-factor reason why the child is not opting for being a teacher. Because the picture of a teacher that has been put up on the mental board of the child in the right from the school life, having a one stick, one big speck on the eyes, and like a rough fabric kurta, and traditional Indian pajama, and having like a one hanging basket from the shoulder, right shoulder, and one leather slipper. So that picture still doesn't go away from the mental board of the child, and mental model has already been, yeah. So that mental model has already been created, and child is not able to overcome that mental model. Okay. So this is one aspect. Second aspect is that if the child is looking at the quality of a teacher, I mean, slowly and gradually, when the child goes to class 6 or 7, he develops a consciousness not of self-inspection, but he gets a consciousness of inspecting the quality of a teacher. Self-inspection still is a very costly thing. It's a very it's very expensive thing. Self-inspection, self-introspection is a costly and expensive thing. Still, we cannot have it very easily. And inspecting others quality and introspecting others quality is very easy for us. Even if we cannot see our face, this is natural, we cannot see our face, we can easily see the faces of others and judge that you are fair, you are dark, you are curly, and like that a lot of things judgment can be passed. But when we happen to see our faces, we need a mirror, right? We need a mirror. So here what I want to say is that the teacher's quality is very first judged. That teacher is coming to the school, sitting on the chair and tapping the chair table, and बच्चे खड़े हो जाओ, बैठ जाओ, और आज हम लोग क्या पढ़ेंगे. So that monotonous life of a child right from beginning, after the prayer and assembly and continuing, some children are very sensible, they are able to catch it that this is the rule of life, this is the pattern of life. But some children take it very critically, they are very witty, and they think that, oh my god, this is the life of a teacher, every day coming like this, and sitting on the chair, and teaching us A for apple, B for basket, and C for cat, and D for dog. So this is what I want to go, I have to do when I become a teacher. So no, I don't want to become a teacher. And that's also, there is one factor. Second factor is that he never sees a teacher, or she never sees, or he never sees a teacher with that kind of zeal towards the life, positivity towards the life. And he sees the teacher is teaching, the teacher is just doing his duty, coming to the school and going back home, giving some lesson, completing the syllabus, and that's it. No extra image, no extra effect on the mind of a child is being given, that inspiration, that motivation, that positive kind of motivation that is not coming to the child. And that's why the child sees that teaching is a very boring job. It's just like a 9 to 3 duty, and where I just have to scold and scream on the child, and sometimes having, if I'm too angry, I can beat the child with the stick. That was the old pattern. Even that pattern has been shedded. Stick pattern, corporal punishment has been shedded, but still that screaming on the child for the discipline, for like a tone of speaking, for the language that child speaks in the class, the behavior that child shows in the class, talking to the elders, using the school property nicely or badly. So everything is being monitored by that particular class teacher or a subject teacher. That makes the child like think, wait, this teacher is a policeman for me. So it's like that. So thief always gets scared or distracted from gets away from the teacher. Thief always gets away from the police. So the child also gets away from the teacher. So that kind of relationship has already been created between the children and the teacher. Madam, I want to also reiterate this thing that if a person wants to become a teacher, first of all, he or she has to shed this mentality that he is coming to teach because he knows. No, she is coming to teach because he or she knows. You have to go through three steps. Whatever you have in your mind, you have to first unlearn, then relearn, and then you have to again teach the child. So the teaching and learning process is actually very mutual process. It's not a one-way traffic. It's not just I'm going what I have learned in my schooling days. I just want to go and mug up and give it to the child, and child is copying this down and vomiting in the examination. No, that is not the sole objective of teacher in 21st century. Here I want to tell you that if any person or a fresher wants to be a teacher, he or she must have to generate one perception that teacher is not only because he knows everything. Teacher is the one who is facilitator. He is creating an atmosphere of learning, and he is facilitating the child to become a better person for the 21st century in the world, right? So that in when the person makes this kind of perception that I have to become a facilitator,
Hello. Yeah. Hello. I think we've lost the connection.
am I audible? Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now.
So
Yeah. You are.
he has to be compassionate. He has to be he has to be compassionate. He has to be passionate also, and he has to be patient enough to listen to child's views, and he has to do what the another child in front of this in front of him or her in the classroom has to say. He has to be enough self motivated. So I think these are some of the important qualities that a person must have besides being a subject expert. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then that means what? You mean to say that that old method, that is old school method, should be, we should go ahead. Not we should not go ahead with that. I mean, altogether, but there should be some sort of changes, isn't it? So the kind of teaching uh, which was available before, which was actually. Uh, I mean, the teachers used to follow. Now they must do something new, something different, so that the students can get hooked and can learn as well as can love that profession. Isn't it so? Yeah. So that change,
Right.
when I'm talking
So
about
I
the
just
change,
want to add
yeah,
up something over here. I just want to add up
yeah,
something here. Um, See, chalk and talk method has
yeah,
no doubt given many good personalities to the country. Had if
yes,
this
yes,
chalk
yes,
and talk
isn't
method
it?
been not
Yes,
effective, we wouldn't have got Rajendra
yeah,
Prasad. We wouldn't have got
absolutely.
Subhash Chandra Bose. We
Mhm,
wouldn't have got
mhm,
Mahatma Gandhi, who was, who
mhm.
even went up to South Africa for being a barrister. Like if we definitely go to the deeper inside of the chalk and talk method, we cannot discard its theory. We cannot discard this
No,
policy,
no,
right? We cannot.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
one thing is that the situation was very different when the chalk and talk method was in practice. That time child had a very limited access to the sources of information, very limited access to preparatory materials, self study materials. That time the media was not into existence. That time technology was not into existence. Today, in the era when we find that we get a lot of the ocean of information in just a click, we get an ocean of information, right? And but here comes the role of a teacher. Here comes the role of a teacher, that
Yeah.
when you simply click education in Google, education has got thousands of different meanings, synonyms, and history. Wikipedia will open a ocean of information before you, right? But it's your responsibility which comes into play right now, that you have to help a child to classify this information. So classification of information is important in the current era, where the teacher has to be prepared 2 steps ahead of the child's step, that the child has already taken the knowledge from other sources of information beyond the classroom.
Yes.
How can you establish your proficiency in the class, control in the class? The moment the child knows that the teacher doesn't know about this, child starts bypassing you. The
Yes.
child starts bypassing you, the
Absolutely.
child starts
Absolutely.
talking other way, child is taking
Yeah.
casually, and
Yeah.
that is possible only because you have to do something beyond chalk and talk
Yeah.
policy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Something beyond
so
that.
you have
Something
to open the
creative.
door of discussion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will have some words on creative in the later part of this session. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. 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 So then, so see, our education system is completely different from, what the Europeans or the Americans are providing. So, what do you think? What is the basic actually the difference? Why is it like that? They get, they are still they are better, and still they are doing, they're giving a better platform to the students, but we are, way behind them. There must be some reason why we are lacking behind. What is that difference between their education and ours, that is abroad and ours?
Yeah,
Though many
right, right,
international
right.
schools have come up and they are, yeah, they're providing that type
Exactly,
of, that
exactly.
sort of education still.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. So, if you go through some introductory pages of National Education Policy 2020,
Mm-hmm.
little bit. Some PPTs are
Mm-hmm.
into the open domain or public domain. Some PPTs, some PDF notes, summary of the NEP has been in the public domain for the reference of public. Also for all the stakeholders, including parents and children, even for the teacher primarily. You will see that they are talking about pride in the culture and heritage. Pride in the culture and heritage. And they also talk the historical, legacy, historic legacy of knowledge and education. So if we go to the legacy, so I knew that very good term, that was Gurukul system in the past of our country. So when
Yeah. I think we have lost connection. Sir has lost his connection. Or is it me that I have lost my connection? Hello?
and yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you happen to go the deeper insight of this Gurukul system, is it all right?
Yeah, now it is fine.
Yeah. So if we talk about that, the guru and the child, the pupil and the teacher. That time the teacher was not simply the teacher; he was a guru. There is a vast difference between being a teacher from being a guru, because a guru takes the whole responsibility of past, present, and future of the child. But the teacher is just to complete syllabus of the child. Now today, the word teacher has been replaced by the word educator and the word
Yes.
facilitator.
Yeah.
Right? So here, if we want to cope up with what the European education system is doing, so first of all, we have to take pride in our own legacy. Because first, when Europeans came to India, what they did is world known. They first of all attacked our legacy. They first replaced our old education system with the European system of education. So
Absolutely.
that was the biggest, biggest attack on our legacy. And and that was their far-sightedness. They knew that even after we release this countrymen from our rules, if we even free up them, they will be our dependent for next coming centuries, and even they will depend upon us for any kind of educational upgrowth, or like any kind of some academic proficiency of the children. The children will always be prone to British. Their children will always be prone to Europe. They will always look up to Europe for if they have to study. And you can also
Yeah.
see that yes, and it was yeah, we really appreciate the fact that our people, yeah, our most of the able people in our ancient history, they even were so able that they flew to abroad to complete their education. What does it mean? What does it mean? It means that it means two things. One, that the people were able, but they didn't get that facility in their own country, and that facility was present in what was available in the other countries. So it means that we have somewhere created a gap of learning, and we had already created a gap between the demand of a learner and the supply from the faculty members, right? So I just want to reiterate over here the fact that Gurukul system, that like Nalanda, Takshashila, and that like the teachers like Chanakya, the students like Chandragupta. So these really create a great inspirational story before the masses. How to like, and that time also, if we look at this National Education Policy 2020 today, we can match the objective of this with that. And here we can see that the National Education Policy always talks about innovation, problem solving, creativity, critical
Creativity.
thinking, collaboration, and citizenship. If you look at the history and the other teachers in the Gurukul system, they all were imparting these skills to their disciples. If we talk to Dronacharya, he taught 100 of the Kauravas, 5 Pandavas, and he created the future citizen of that whole Hastinapur. And you can see that they had created he started his education right from assessment process, learning by doing. He always started his teaching to them with the learning by doing. Like, you take an example, suppose he was teaching archery to Arjuna, and he kept one idol of a bird on the branches of a tree, and just beneath the green leaves, even the green parrot was less camouflage, right? But still he wanted to check what is the checking. He wanted to check ekagrata, concentration, focus. So ये जो competency है ना, this competency is taught in NEP 2020. Competency based education we are talking about today. So that competency was taught by the activities, and that was learning by doing, art integrated learning, you can say experiential learning. So that all these terms had been in our education system since long time back.
Long time.
So getting into the 1986, when the 1986 education policy was given, it was prone to comprehensive and continuous evaluation. Okay, so that was also prone to the European system. But somewhere we could not do justice with that, because we just created an atmosphere that child is depending upon us for the 40 marks. Now we can manipulate this 40 marks anyhow to keep the child under our grip. So that with that right? So we created a barrier between the, scholastic and co-scholastic, summative and formative. So in that formative assessment, we just created the, bridge of that the child has to remain under our grip in the terms of, a discipline, in the terms of how the child uses the school property, how the child collaborates with the other. In this term, the grading system started, and that grades were like still the child was under fear that if I don't behave nicely, then I will get C grade, I will get D grade, right? So again, fear factor was created, in the masses of children, right? So again, learning was not there. So I think NEP 2020 has tried to create that, modification in the philosophy of education. So that so I think there is a lot much to say about it, a lot and a lot of things to say about it. So I think I should drop it up to here so that we can go up to the catch of the broader aspect of the today's session. Yes, carry on.
That's right. That's right. So you mean to say that the NEP, which is going to come up very soon, so it will bring a positive change, isn't it so? From that theoretical, learning, we will go to the practical learning, right? Which is more important, which was there during, when, Chandragupta and Chand during their time or much before that. So we are bringing it back. So then that means it will have a positive effect, isn't it so, on education, right?
Dual effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
One,
Okay.
upgradation. Second,
Yeah.
pride in the legacy. Yeah.
Correct. So then, okay, so that is on a very broader aspect, like there are a lot of things to talk about it, right? But then
Yes.
let us come back to that, the school or the classroom level, because that is very important. Now we talked a lot about creativity, or we talk a lot about creativity. Okay, see, in international schools or in schools like DPS, and you know uh, uh, there are other such schools, they provide certain kind of platform that, for example, they have smart classes, or they have, they don't follow exactly the that blackboard system, but they have other things to provide to the students. But there are many other schools which cannot afford, maybe, or which do not, they haven't yet upgraded. Okay, so there in those classrooms, how do you think a teacher can make those classrooms more creative? Without that,
That's
those,
very good question.
I can understand that technology will help us, no doubt about it. If we can just let a smart class in the classroom, and then yeah, of course. But without that, how can a teacher can make a classroom more, creative? That is there.
That's very good. It's a very, very good question. And let me begin with the answer in this way. Madam, in the international schools, when you go, like if you talk beyond India, if you talk about the currently, if you can rate the education system in the world, we happen to know that Finland is, top on top in the field of education.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if we talk about Finland education system, we had come to know that they don't have smart classes.
Okay.
Now, see, smart classes are some facilities. Smart classes are just merely a facility.
Yeah.
They cannot replace you.
Yes, yes.
They are not your replacement. They are not your replacement. Like if you solely you just go to class, prepare the lesson plan, and just go to class, and then you start your smart board. You switch on the smart board. Now, child has eyes on the smart board, less eyes on you. Less eyes on you.
Yeah.
You are nowhere in the picture.
No.
Okay, right. The child's eye is on the screen. That is green screen or white screen. The child will remember that. How do you look? How did you smile? How did you react? How did you speak? Child will hardly remember that. Suppose you are talking about sphere, mathematics, sphere, a figure in the middle school. Okay. So if you talk about sphere and you open the slide in smartboard, you did not give child to think. You did not give child a time to imagine. You did not give moment of imagination and creativity to like a think about or dream about this sphere. So how, what is the better way? Instead of depending upon the picture on this on the screen, what could you do? You could have taken one orange in the class. You could have taken one
Hmm.
lemon in the class. You could have taken a globe from your geography lab to the class. You could have taken a ball, cricket ball, in your class. You could also take a slice of a biscuit, like a marigold or other biscuits, which can show you, if you want to talk about latitude and longitude. So you can see there are so many biscuits or cookies in which you can see the sections on the surface. You can just keep, you can show the patterns on the circular or disc like shape of the biscuit. You can see that this is this latitude, and middle one is the equator, and the lower one is the like tropic of Capricorn, upper is the tropic of Cancer. So you can show them the north pole and the south pole. So immediate, instead of opening the smart board and showing the picture of a sphere, you have ample number of options before you, with you, to let the child know about what is a sphere, right? And if we talk about circle, so we can just create how can we start with the rectangle to talk about circle? How can we talk about cylinder with the help of the rectangle? So there is a cross connection among these pictures and figures, that the circumference of a circle is not nothing but the perimeter of a rectangle. Circumference of a circle is nothing but the perimeter of a rectangle, and or from the, even it can be transformed into the triangle. Even it can be, so how can child cross link among these pictures? So you cannot just depend upon the technology.
Yeah.
Right. Technology can be used as a tool. Technology can be used as a tool, not solely we should depend upon that. Right.
Yeah.
So the moment we depend upon that, it kills creativity of two stakeholders of a classroom. One,
Hmm.
yours.
Yeah.
Two, the learners. So
Hmm.
the learner has relationship with the technology now, not with
Yeah.
you. Okay, so
Right.
where is your emotion? Where is
Hmm.
your, like, where is your creativity? So that's what I will speak about creativity, if you can permit me, right? So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
yeah, sure. So the creativity here, actually this word creativity is merely a small word if we think, but it
Hmm.
has huge aspect hidden within it. Creativity doesn't follow rules. Creativity, for creativity, you
Hmm.
don't have to, stick to the protocols. You
Hmm.
don't have
Hmm.
to impose rules on the head
Yeah.
of the child. For creativity,
Hmm.
creativity sometimes
Hmm.
breaks the rules.
Hmm.
Creativity sometimes breaks the bars. Creativity has to, sometime go beyond the classroom.
Hmm.
Creativity means like why apple fell down, why didn't go up. Creativity
Hmm.
doesn't have, like that tare zameen par, that lyrics, I love that lyric, socho socho
Hmm.
kya wo ped hai, you know चादर ओढ़े या खड़ा कोई, बादल है या आसमान में, खोल दिए
Hmm.
हैं नल खुले कहीं छोड़ दिए हैं. So that the word itself, the lyrics of this song, how meticulously enforces that creativity, imagination in the mind of a child.
Hmm.
Even
Hmm.
the child is like Darshil Safari, that the role had been played, that the letters are dancing. So that letters are dancing, can letter dance? So that theory, can letter dance? So the child, even in the class, a child cannot dance, how can letter dance? Right. So it was a
Hmm.
humorous kind of dialogue for others who could not understand his problem. But here, those kind of, if we can use art integrated learning, and if we use those kind of, films dialogues, and so I think those can be replacing these technologies, and we can, create a better impact in terms of creativity. This is one point. Second point is that, suppose if you are you are asking child not to tear paper, not to throw garbage, not to tear the cover page of the book. But what if the child tears the back page of the notebook and makes aeroplane of that and boat of that, and puts it in the the long wash basin, or the tap water place where the water is collected, and he puts that boat in that and he sees the boat rowing on the water surface. So what are you going to teach with that? You can teach everything everywhere except in the classroom. So if you talk about creativity, you don't need a classroom. Classroom is where you are there. Classroom is where your children are there with you. So you don't have to depend upon the blackboard and the furniture. They are just infrastructure if you lose creativity, madam. Right. So I want to speak on this term that creativity means sometimes breaking the rules also. I am not advocating that all the times we should break rules, otherwise it will bring anarchy in the classroom system. Yes, but sometimes if the rules are broken for good, let's do it. It will give two impacts. One is the breaking the monotony. All right. Second, the child will think, okay, so we can do this also, right? So second time you will be more popular in the class. And again, the popularity, popularity has a very delicate difference between your cheap popularity and the good popularity. Right. So for the cheap popularity, sometimes we break all the rules and we find that we are cool. No. So we should not establish this fact also, that breaking rule is the job of cool. No. Sometimes breaking the rule is a job of fool also, because breaking the rule can lead to loss of the child in terms of physical loss or in the terms of disciplinary loss. Actions can be invited, so that should not be inspired. So right. So creativity always gives you new look to the education, and hence the child will never say, I won't go to school today. Child will rather fight with you. Why are you stopping me from going to school?
Exactly. Because it allows the child to develop, right? And
Right.
do what he or she wants to do in a positive way, right? Not in a destructive, but in a constructive way. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was really nice. Yeah. So as I can see that your portfolio says that you are a regional teacher of change in Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. You are appointed by the government of India, that Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, right? So what is it all about? What is Atal Innovation Mission, and what how it is? How do you feel
Right.
being a part of it? Yeah.
Right. Great. So as we began our discussion during this session, we said, what is education? We said, what is
Yeah.
education?
Yeah.
So, if we go with a little one philosophy of iceberg, if my stakeholders would know about iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
If you see an iceberg, whatever iceberg is visible on the surface of water,
Hmm.
that is only the 10% of total volume of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the iceberg is hidden under the water.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we divide our education system, so that has the two layers.
Hmm.
One is the surface learning, that is 10%
Hmm.
of the iceberg.
Hmm.
Other is the deep learning, that is 90% of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So if we talk about the surface learning and deep learning, the surface learning has got 4 steps: knowledge, understanding, activity, skills. But beyond that, there is the use of education. Now, this skill can be used to, this skill can be used to analyze the fact. This skill can be used to examine the fact, can be used to distinguish between what is right, what is wrong. Then judgment comes.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes, you know, problem solving. Then comes, innovation. So if we don't go to the level of innovation, somewhere down the line, our objective of education remains unfulfilled.
Hmm.
If our education is not used in solving the problem of our community,
Hmm.
and if it remains confined to the book,
Hmm.
then I think there is no use of that education. if we see China, if we see European countries, lot many patents have been done by these countries in this century. What had been the possible reason, and why our own resources are being patented by them? Jetrofa, calling a biodiesel, was patented by other countries. Why? Gomutra of our country, why it is patented by other countries? Ayurvedic products of our country, why other countries are patenting? Tulsi and neem are being patented by others. How? Because we somewhere stopped after getting surface knowledge. After surface education, surface learning, we stopped. But some stakeholders went beyond that. Okay, so here, this kind of gap of learning and the unfulfilled objective of education was noted by our educationists. Then, and we came to think that this whatever the different modules like robots or like machines or like sensors are being created by those Chinese and other industries, it seems that their children from class 6, right from class 6, are prone to this kind of learning. Then our government set up one innovation mission. That is called Atal. It is after late, greatest, glorious Prime Minister of India, that Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In his good name, after his name, they started one mission of innovation that under the aegis of Niti Aayog, Government of India. This Niti Aayog was planning commission earlier, which plans all about the growth and development of our country. So Niti Aayog set up one Atal Innovation Mission and gave a corpus of amount that you can, create a chain of Atal Tinkering Labs across the country. So these Atal Tinkering Labs will have a sole duty of, instigating or injecting the culture of innovation beyond education, classroom education, in the mind of child, right from class 6 upward to class 12. So, madam, you will be glad to know that the children right from class 6 have started talking about motors, have started talking about sensors, have started talking about like a resistor. They start talking about robots and Lego. So these are the technologies, and they have started talking about how spacecraft is made. They have started talking about how airplanes are created. So I think there was a big vision in the mind of our educationists, our officers, that we have to, after 10 years or 20 years, shed the habit of job seeking attitude. Instead of that, we have to be a job creating person, right? So there is a lot of things about said about it, a lot of things. So in our school, let me talk about the history of my being my RTOC. So it was 2017 when the first of all time this ATL kind of a story started. Atal Innovation Mission gave the notification that the school entries are being invited by the schools to get the Atal Tinkering Labs set up. For that, the grants will be given by the government for the first 2 years or 3 years, and later on they have to create a culture of innovation, and they have to run that lab with the patents created by them. So that's what the history began. So our school participated in that, and I think in the Northeast our school was among the first schools under the able leadership of my colleague and myself, under the guidance of we two teachers. 4 children participated in this challenge in front of IITians in Guwahati, and then they were selected, and we all got this prestigious grant of establishing Atal Tinkering Lab in our school, and it was inaugurated in 2017. All right. So very right after that, the teachers started getting trainings, capacity building, unbox tinkering kind of words with the help of IBM and Intel. They all collaborated with Atal Innovation Mission, and we all started percolating this knowledge and skills to the students, and we shortlisted the children from class 6 to 12, and we thought that who are prone to innovation, because we cannot take everyone and anyone. We can only take the ones who are really creamy layers who can do things, those who know what is innovation, those who are really interested in doing something beyond it. All right. So entrepreneurs can be one of the 1,000 people. So only one is enough to change the future of thousands. So we cannot build 100 entrepreneurs at a time. We can just create one entrepreneur, and that can change the life of other hundreds. So we have this philosophy. So we started this lab, and after 3 years, what happened? 3 years, what happened? That looking at this work which we had done, I also applied for the regional teacher of change, and after that, in 2019, I was selected as a regional teacher of change, looking at my track record and my zeal of working towards the spirit of innovation. So that's how I was appointed, and I was really glad to get this responsibility, that they thought I am able to take this responsibility on my shoulder. So that's the story of becoming the regional teacher of change. And Atal Innovation Mission is working a very, very, right direction. Lot of things have been, created in this way. Many children across the country have come up with a lot of problem solving, innovations, like, for blind, they are creating different tools, how to go over the traffic system, changing the traffic system. And you can see in the children who are the topics that are taught in IITs and BITs, they are now discussed in the school life. I feel really glad to see that these electronic engineering children are coming to mentor the children of class 6 and 7 about the modules of like resistor, capacitor, motors, and many things. So I think we are very much optimistic in the coming future that our India will be innovation hub and manufacturing hub. And I think it will, fulfill the dream of, making India, our Atmanirbhar Bharat. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, is it like now that this particular mission, is it for all, like every kind of school or every board can participate in this? That is, I can understand that yours is a CBSE, so that is why they are part of it. But what about the other boards? Like we have ICSE, we have state boards, like you have in Assam, you have SEBA. So are
Yes.
they can also participate in
Yeah.
that?
Government
Okay.
schools.
Okay,
Government schools are participating, equally participating. Most of the innovation has come from the government schools also.
government schools. All right. All right.
Yeah. So the government schools, they are giving priority to the government schools also.
Okay. Okay. So actually, we are
State
running short
boards
of
are
time.
also,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
right.
we
The
have a lot
state
of
boards.
things to
State
talk
boards
about.
are,
It is actually very informative. Whatever, like the things that you are sharing with us is so informative that I wish to continue this. But since we are running short of time, so quickly I'd like to ask you that what is your contribution? Like, what do you think by far you have contributed in the field of education? What do you think
yes.
that one thing that you have? Yes, yes,
That takes me to the self introspection again, and you have put me into my self introspection mode with this question. So let me just speak few points. I think that will be enough for you to get what I have done. I never ask a child science is a subject.
okay,
I say science is life.
okay,
Right from the beginning, when you wake up, when you leave the bed until you go to bed, every event that you you witness, you will get everything is happening for some reason. Everything is
right,
having some procedure. Everything has got some conclusion. It's establishing some fact. So what is science? Science is a channelized approach, scientific approach, in which whenever we see new thing, why first question is what is this,
yeah,
second question is how is this, and the third question is why is this, and what
absolutely.
are the implication of this. So what we talk about in science in class, we have to at least actually settle the curiosity of a learner regarding this.
Yes,
If apple fell down, what was that? How it happened? Why it happened? That Newton was not in the classroom. Newton was in the garden, right? So for me, science, for teaching science, I don't need a classroom. And I have created that perception in the mind of a child, because science is not confined to the textbook. And the moment child realizes this, science becomes friend of a child. And the child is more prone to solving the problems with whatever learns in the class. And then the child starts loving science. If the child gets confined to the book, like say 6s12 O6 plus 6O2, giving up 6CO2, 6H2O, it is merely set of alphabets. But the child who is really learning this will be explained that the food that you eat has to be broken to get your energy out of the body, and for that you need to do some activities. So that has to be done with the teacher. I have tried to do that. I have brought the science out of the book to the life of a child, and integration has been done successfully by me, I think.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So that actually, that's what we expect from all the teachers, isn't it? So to bring children out of the textbook and bring it to the real life, right? Bring them to
Right,
the real life.
right,
Actually,
right.
we are going to wrap up very soon. So I just would like to ask our viewers if there is any question or any comment for Mr. Rajiv, then you're most welcome. Is there anyone who would like to ask something?
I think there was a question in this chat box. Somebody has commented.
Yeah,
Y-
just
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Uh,
hello.
Please
am I
respond.
allowed to ask a question?
Yeah, of course, of course, of
Yeah.
course.
Thank you, Rajiv. This is, I
Yeah,
must say,
welcome.
I would wish to be a student once again. I mean, a person generally is a lifelong student anyway, but I wish that I had teachers like you who could teach the way you just elaborated.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
Thank you for your
fantastic,
appreciation, sir.
fantastic,
Thank
Rajiv.
you very much.
And also
Yeah,
congratulations for being the regional teacher for change. That's a big honor, as well as a big responsibility, I must say that.
Yeah,
Two
thank you
questions,
so much.
Rajiv. I'm not an educationist, but I do hold a lot of workshops on environmental education, and
Sure,
those are
sir.
mostly skill based. Two questions. One, what do you think? Very honestly, be very critical, and I would appreciate that. Do you need, who needs more teaching? Is it the teacher who needs to learn more, or is it the students in today's time? And second, do you think the paradigm that we have adopted, you have quite a bit, you have elaborated on that, but I will come back to in a way different way. Do you think that the paradigm we adopted for our education is probably, if not the best, is okay? Or do you think that the pillars of education that should have been was completely missing since either the British came or since the independence happened? And whom do you think that those were responsible for the rote learning that we are having today, if I can say so? Thank you so much.
All right, so let's come to the first question. I think the teacher has been, I think, more or less, replaced by the word facilitator. So I think that explains a lot about the teacher. And in order to facilitate, you need to have facilities with you. Otherwise, like if the air hostess says in the plane that before helping others, you need to help yourself. In order to, in the case of crash landing and time, you need to help yourself first. So the first of all, the teacher needs to help himself or herself, because Rabindranath Tagore already said that a candle cannot illuminate others until and unless the candle glows itself, right? So for that purpose, I think there are three stages: learn, unlearn, and relearn. Okay, so these words are actually, applicable for the teacher first. If a teacher thinks that I know everything in the classroom, so that time that's a drawback for the teacher. The teacher in the classroom must be thinking he's the first learner of the class. And why I'm saying it's not just for the insulting of the teacher, that the teacher has to go and learn in the class. No, it's because if he learns, then he can, think from the learner's point of view. What is the challenge of learning? What is the objective of learning? What is the procedure of learning? What can child think about a fact that is being imparted to the child? So I think the teacher must be a learner first, and he should learn a lot. She should learn a lot in order to give 45 minutes very crispy and a very many objective based kind of classroom if you want to do. So you should learn first before making others learn. This is what I have to say for the first question. Coming to the second question. See, I think shedding responsibility on the shoulder of somebody, I think it will be again, a kind of, passing the ball to the other team. I think education is not a one-way traffic. It is the two-way traffic. It has got the multiple stakeholders, including the parents or the teachers or the school system and the society. What the society is demanding that you have to fulfill, the school system has to fulfill that demand of society. Otherwise, they will not give the children to your school. A lot of challenges are there with the schools also. So I think the rote learning, and what is the policy? With the policy that is created our country, unfortunately, it has been created in the AC rooms by 4 or 5, finger counted people. So slowly and gradually, that paradigm shift that you're talking about, when the policy starts rising from the classroom, when the policy starts rising from the classroom, with the last stakeholder, that is the teacher should be a curriculum creator. The teacher should be a policy creator. The teacher should be routine creator. A stakeholder like a parents and the students must also be involved in the formation of education policy. So earlier, I think there was a gap between the policy creators and the stakeholders. So right now, I think the government has taken another turn, taking the 10% or 5% of inputs of the teacher parents also, and more or less of the teachers also, and then a new education policy has been created with the help of all the stakeholders. So instead of passing the ball, I think we all should catch it. We should all take some responsibility. Otherwise, we will not be able to fulfill our responsibilities, sir. With due respect, this is very important to realize that every stakeholder is equally responsible for the growth of the society, because ये शहर आपका है, चाहे ये साफ हो या चाहे गंदा हो. तो आप इसके लिए एक like equally responsible for its betterment or the other things, as you say. Thank you.
Just a supplementary question. So do you think that the new economic policy 2020 is a step towards the right direction, or is it one of those which we have seen in the earlier era, in the 50s and later on early 70s and then 80s?
I think something, if you pack the old things into a new packet, we cannot say that the old things are packed in a new packet, but we can say that it has been modified. Yes, objective that time also was a positive objective, creating a citizen, but that time the demand of the society was different. Now the demand of society is different. So I think if not 100%, but even 50% objective is fulfilled, I think it will be successful implementation of National Education Policy 2020. So after 36 years, this has been done, right? So let's welcome and try to implement this, and let's hope for the best. If there is any kind of negative, results coming on, we have another time. That's how we learn. We can unlearn, we can relearn, we can, learn again. So that's how even every ministry is also learning. Government is also learning. So that's how it goes. Thank you.
Okay, Sanjay, is it enough? Is it like, are you done? Like, are you satisfied with all your, with the answers that he has given?
Yeah, well, satisfaction perhaps is not the right word one can describe the answers, but I got an answer. I'm quite happy about it.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much.
I'm done. Yeah.
So then we are actually going to wind up now. So I would like to thank Mr. Rajiv for volunteering, his time, as well as, from his busy schedule, he could take out some time for us, to share his valuable insights with everyone, with the audience, with us. It was really immensely useful and enlightening. I must say the session was really very good. Hope to, redo it again. I wish that, like more of such session, should be conducted so that
Sure.
we can
I'll be happy.
information.
I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to
Absolutely,
volunteer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we hope to connect with you again and look forward, to collaborate in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for
And
calling.
thank you,
Thank you
Sanjay.
for
Thank you,
organizing this.
Anajar.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. Have a nice day.
Okay, so if there is no question, I'm ending the session. Any more question? Acha, Melinda left. Okay, so thank you so much, Rajiv. Thank you so much, Sushmita ma'am. Thank you, Sanjay. It was a wonderful session. So I'm ending the session now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Giti.
Giti.
Thank you, everyone.
Geeti, yeah, I'm Geeti. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.